preparing the live stream for the meeting.
All right. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
We are live
We're on
Facebook.
Let's give a testament to how StreamYard is not the technology for today. I feel like 1990 with dial-up internet, 1996 with dial-up internet. It's like boing, 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 and then it's like server failed to connect.
Yeah, I mean, this was just crazy. Hi everybody.
What's up?
We're here. We are here.
We made it with no help of StreamYard whatsoever.
No help from StreamYard. But this is the Everyday Riches Show, and I'm your host, Barbara Ellison, and I am your personality pro, because personality does drive reality. And I'm on a mission to have people have influence and impact and be able to earn income. And so that's what I'm so excited about. And today, Jason and I, we're going to be talking about all sorts of fun things. And because I work with heart-centered entrepreneurs, and so does Jason. We want to make a difference in the world, teach them how to build their businesses really effectively and in the easiest way possible. So that's what some of the things that we're going to talk about. Anyways, so now wait a minute. I gotta get up to my Zoom meeting. There I am. I was seeing me on two things. It was like, okay, this is driving me crazy.
It's like, it makes me think of like Max Headstrom back in the day. Remember those commercials? Were they Pepsi or something? And Max Headstrom, and he was always all these TV screens, so his head was surrounded everywhere.
Right. That was not how that, and plus because there was a slight delay between what I was talking and it was showing on Facebook. I was like, okay, what's wrong with this? Yeah. So hi, Jason. How are you? Who are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm Jason Tracey. I'm founder of Roar Consulting. We help entrepreneurs and solopreneurs that are not natural salespeople overcome those stigmas, overcome really putting their purpose, passion, and expertise into play, being the difference, like you said, being the difference to their people that they serve. Really serving at the highest level and at the highest revenue.
And and you and I have had so many conversations about it. And one of the things that shall we talk about what we're excited about first?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are going to, we've talked many times about that the entrepreneurial world in some ways is getting smaller.
Yeah.
That we are just getting more in tune with who's here, who feels the same way about their business that we do, those kinds of things. And when I first met Jason, it was like, oh, we just hit it off, and then the whole thing with losing Pat hit us, and Jason was so gracious to, step in and be my co-host, and now it's become a permanent thing. But from Jason, I introduced Jason to Regina. Well, now we are so excited. I am going to let Jason tell you this part of it. It's just how it all played out, because you talked to Regina first.
Yeah, so Regina had reached out to me, and she did her amazing podcast, Pursuing Profits with Principle, and she did that really cool launch where she got everybody that was on the podcast really involved, and we had a live networking event or a live event where we were talking and describing who we are and meeting all these, aligning, what she called it, building alliances, I think is what she was calling
it. Yeah.
And it was so awesome. But Regina had reached out to me because she was like, she's like, I'm not a salesperson. She was like, but I'm teaching people how to find six figures in their business. That really easy to find six figures that she can find any business. And she was like, and part of that is sales, but I'm not the sales coach. I'm not the sales guru. And so I'd really like to align with you and see if we can partner up and collaborate. And then on the reverse end, I can sell my clients her services and what she does. And we can really team up and serve people at the highest level, with our superpowers, so to speak. So we had that conversation last week, and we were both super pumped up, and Regina went to her drawing board, and her mind exploded with ideas, and she brought on, what was it, another three
more of us.
And yeah, so we had what, six total on the call. And it's just amazing. I was thinking the whole time I'm thinking about what we're doing, what we're combining is really being the Entrepreneurs Justice League. You remember the Justice League? They had Superman and Wonder Woman and, the Green Lantern, and they all had their individual superpower. They had their strengths and their powers, and not all of us are the same, right? You're the personality pro. We always talk about we all have different attributes. We all have different superpowers, things that make us stand out. And so for us to come together in our expertise, you form the Justice League. And so we're going to be bringing an offer together that is literally from top to bottom, be able to take that business from building their revenue, finding those six figures, all the way to an exit strategy. If they want to sell their business, here's the most profitable ways to go forward and do this.
Right. And one of the things that I've heard so many times is build your business with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And so often what happens to people is that they get so caught up in that it is, Barbara Ellison coaching, they use their name in their business.
Yep.
And or they create, and there's nothing wrong with this. Absolutely. I've done it several times. They create they're an affiliate, they become an affiliate for a parent company. Those are all great things. But one of the things that I learned a couple of years ago was that you don't want to build somebody else's business, because I found out the hard way that when they get caught doing something, you lose.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And
I've seen that happen in the franchising industry.
And that happened to me. After David passed away, I had gotten aligned with this company. I thought it was going to be, because I liked their products. I was a product of their products. I was using it. And I put a lot of money into the website, and building it all was just starting to get traction. And they got shut down.
Oh.
I lost everything. I lost everything. And the thing is, and I was absolutely devastated because it put me into a financial bind that I needed help to get out of. Never in my life did I ever think I would have to declare personal bankruptcy. But I lost everything. Everything was gone. And the awful part of it was that I was just starting. And so, yes, it was devastating for me. But one day I was telling a friend of mine that this had happened. And she went, well, what was the name of the company? And I'm not going to badmouth them. So, but I told her that, hey, this was the name of the company. And she said, oh, that explains a lot. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you know what? My aunt and uncle, they went from living in $1 million home to a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow
Was right. They totally lost everything. So it was a lesson for me that do not build in somebody else's playground. Build your own.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on that lesson, I have to tell you, because today I was talking to, and the thing is, get a coach.
Oh, for sure. I couldn't scream that from the mountaintops enough.
Yeah, get a coach. The thing is that one of my lessons is that you don't always have to pay for a coach. The thing is that you have a field of expertise. I have a field of expertise. A friend of mine has all of this set up technology stuff that she knows how to do. Thrivecart and setting up campaigns and doing the CRMs, and she has all that expertise. Well, guess what? We're bartering because she needs what I have and I need what she has. So it doesn't have to cost you anything.
That's so crazy. Like, I don't know how many entrepreneurs think about this, or any people in general think about the barter system. And really, I couldn't tell you if this is a fact for sure, but I'm pretty sure this is how money started, right? Like you'd have a small town, there'd be a blacksmith, there'd be the grocery store, and they wouldn't exchange money. They would exchange services. They would exchange their time. and trade their expertise in order to get food or to get their horses fitted with a horseshoe, all these different things. And so my website was built off of bartering. I coached a gentleman that did my website. He created my logo, changed my business there. And then I got to impact his life by coaching him. So there's a lot of cool things that you can really do without the typical money investment.
Exactly. And and I started doing that. I used to be I am still a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I had a gentleman that I cut his hair every day, every month. I cut his hair. And then in tax season, he did all my taxes for me.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yep. My wife right now is getting her nails done. And her the nail lady that does her nails, I don't know what you call it, esthetician, is that what it is? Esthetician.
Nail technique.
I'm like the nail lady. They're really good friends now, but my wife makes these shirts. My wife puts the logo and does custom design work, so she makes t-shirts and cups and all that kind of stuff. And so Jen, the nail lady, the esthetician, she does a trade because she's constantly getting stuff. They're constantly going on trips. They just did this fishing trip, and her and her husband and their friends, they did this big fishing trip, and my wife made them hoodies and stuff with the logos they wanted. And so she does this constant trade. Every time that it's time to go get her nails done, she doesn't have to worry about paying for it because they're doing this trade-off.
Exactly. And it's just, and so often I hear people say, "Oh, I can't afford to do that." Well, find somebody who needs what you do.
Yeah. Well, and this, like grief, my grandma passed away a couple years ago. It'll be 3 years ago now, here in July. But my mom was going through a lot of grief and having a really hard time recovering. And I knew a coach that was a grief coach that she really aligned. She wanted to work with me, but she didn't necessarily have the money to do it. So I actually, bartered. I coached her and she coached my mom.
Right.
So I was able to take care of family. I gifted my mom with 3 months of coaching sessions with Beth, and she, it really helped her go to that next, transition and be able to embrace the grief a lot better. And then Beth was able to get coached by me. So it was a really cool trade-off.
Exactly. And and that's what life is all about. Really, it is. It's helping each other. We all benefit by the things that we're doing. Like one of my favorite sayings is that, number one, you don't know what you don't know. So ask somebody. Like for me, with my CRM and stuff, it's like I was like, okay, Catherine, and so it's just been really fun to be able to go back and forth and to help her, and she's helping me.
What are your resources? I coached a gentleman yesterday that he was one of my employees. He was a salesperson on one of my sales teams, and he reached out to me because he's in transitioning in his career. And he told me from the beginning of the conversation, he said, I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling him about all the problems that I had going and taking that next step. And the gentleman, said, "Hey, who do you know that could help you with this? Who in your life do you know that you could sit down with and talk to that could help you transition?" And he said, "You're the first person I thought of." So it's like, what are your resources when you're going through something in life? Who do you know that's been through that, has pushed past, has succeeded, has overcome that challenge, is now thriving? Who do you know, and can they help you? And maybe it's not even a thing where they charge you. Maybe it's a friend. I'm a big believer. I do barter, but I'm gonna give this. I am a believer that people have to pay something for coaching in order to really take it seriously and really commit. I'm not a big believer in giving free coaching sessions because I've given those, and people generally don't do anything with free because there's no skin in the game. If you're going to put a lot of time into something like building my website or you're trading coaching services for me, that is money that you could be making. So that's a really good investment. But I would free makes me cringe because I know that they're not going to get the most out of it. And I also know that because other people, my schedule can get full and tight, that I'm going to have a little bit of resentment, or that's the person I'm going to probably cancel or, skip out on easier because I'm doing it for free, even though I want to help that person.
Right.
So my little side warning on that.
Well, exactly, because it says in the Bible that a man is worthy of his hire.
Mm,
So if you are getting benefit from somebody, hey,
yeah.
be generous.
Yeah.
That's like the other day, my son and I, we went out for dinner, and so like now everything has gone automated. You pay everything.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give Chili's a plug. We were at Chili's, and they have a little automated that you pay everything. And
Yeah.
he said, "Oh yeah, put in," and so you could put in the tip. And then he did, and so we paid our bill, and our bill wasn't very much, but so we put in, but then we sat there for quite a while afterwards, and so we were taking up this table. And so then it was like, you know what, Barbara? Yeah, we need to put a little bit more money on the table here, because we have been taking up this table for quite a while. And my son said, "Oh, and because he understands me, because number one, I'm in the restaurant business."
Yeah.
And so like if you sit for a long time, put in a few more dollars. But he said, and I said, "Well, this is what I've got." And I said, we are people of generosity, so let's just put it in. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh," he said, "That's great, Mom." And it's not about me, but you know what? She deserved it. We were taking up her table in her station. And so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Be willing to be generous.
Yeah.
Willing to be generous in your time. Absolutely. In your resources. Absolutely. But then, but as you just said too, there's also a time for you to say, "Hey, you know what? If you want more coaching from me, this is my job."
Yeah.
You don't go to the doctor and not pay to go to the doctor. You can't say, "Oh, because you're my friend, you're not going to pay me. You're not going to charge me to come to the doctor." You pay the dentist. You pay everybody else. If you're getting value, I'd be willing to pay for it. So
and that's I don't think that anybody really wants people to starve, but sometimes people don't think about it, and they think, "Oh, you do this, like, what, you want to help me?" And I get it. I do understand. When you think somebody that you can get a hookup from a friend and whatnot, but you have to really put yourself in their shoes and understand this is what they do for a living. This is how they put food on the table. This is how they pay their bills. Just like if somebody's going to work and punching the clock 40 hours a week, and you wouldn't go into their location and say, "Can you hook me up?"
Right, exactly. And there is times where you're just going to do it out of the goodness of your heart and do a little thing. Today I was in the library and just needing to print out some things.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing. But as I was putting stuff into the computer to be printed out, one of the librarians, she said, "Oh, I've got to write this letter. And how does this?" So she was talking to the other librarian. She said, "How does this sound?" But I could hear it, because it's not a big library. And so I could hear it. And I went, and I was like, "Oh, Barbara, are you really going to say something?" And then it was like, "Barbara, for heaven's sakes, what difference does it make?" So I went to her and I said, "You know what? This is what I don't know if you know what, but this is what I do. I help people with their messaging so that they can attract the most amount of people with their messaging." And she went, "Oh, really?" And I said, if you're interested, I would love to have you send what you just wrote to me. I will run it through my tool and tell you if you are hitting it, what voice it's written in." And she was like, oh, that would be wonderful. So she did. I was sitting there. So while I was doing my stuff, she sent it over to me. And I ran it through and I came back and I said, "You know what, here, this is what you're missing. And this is what you can do to tweak it."
That's awesome.
And she was like, "Oh, wow, Barb, that totally makes sense."
Yeah.
To hit the personality to different, because the personalities, they all respond differently to different, so if you are sending out something general, then make sure you hit all four of the personality codes. And she was so appreciative. That's a different story. You're helping out, and that was something that was going to, so do those things too, because those things will come back to you in spades.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Helping people. And for me, even with coaching, I don't like taking money from people until I know I can help them. And a
Right.
lot of that, it's a first discovery meeting. And it's to be able to sit down and give people some suggestions with what I hear and what they're saying, and help them hear what they're saying. That's a big part in coaching too, is not just giving somebody the answer, but helping them hear what they're saying. And we started off talking about superpowers, but I believe that's my superpower, is I can see through people's emotions, and see through their clouds, and their shit and their thing, the negativity, and see what their true potential is. And so then I help them see what I'm seeing.
Exactly, exactly. And I think we all have it. And I know this is a soapbox that we've talked about so many times before too, is that people are afraid to share their expertise.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to think? Well, what difference does it matter? Because the people who need you, they're going to respond.
Yeah. Yeah. I started laughing because I'm not a person that holds back. And there's this story. Me and my wife were at a country music festival probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. And it was a country music festival, so there was lots of drinks and stuff. And we were standing in line to get food, and there was these young people that were in front of us, and they you could tell they'd been drinking all day. But the one guy was talking about his career, and the friends were all interested in asking him, what are you doing? And he was in engineering. And so he was like, oh, I used to really love my job. I was in engineering. And he's like, I was doing these things, and it was awesome. I felt like I was really in control, and I knew what I was doing. And then he was like, I got so good at what I was doing that they promoted me to leadership. He's like, now I hate it. He's like, I just want to go back into engineering. He's like, nobody listens to me. They look at me like I'm the young guy. He was like, my boss is like, telling me I got to rule with an iron fist, and I've got to yell, and I've got to write people up. And he was like, and every time I do that, I get more and more backlash. And he's like, I hate this. I'd just rather worry about myself. And my wife knows it's coming from me. Like, she knows I'm about to like join these people's conversation, because that's just who I am, right? I want to give back to this poor guy. I was in his shoes. I felt like, I'm going to go back into sales. Leadership is not for me. I've got to worry about everybody else, versus all I got to do is worry about myself in sales. And wow, that would have been the biggest mistake of my life. I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you today.
Right.
So just because you're bad at leadership now doesn't mean that you're not meant to do it. It just means that you have the wrong mentors. And so I started telling this gentleman that, and he looks at me and his mouth is kind of open, and I start dropping this knowledge on him. And I'm like, if I was you, I would go in and I'd have a team meeting with your team, and I'd say, listen, I was new at this, and as you can see, I'm the young guy. And he was like, so I'm in this position, and I can understand where, be vulnerable. I can understand where, some of you that have worked here for a long time could be upset. But this is the thing. I got in here and I worked really, really hard, and I was really, really good at what I did. I was so good that the upper leadership saw the potential, and they gave me this position. And so what I want to do, my commitment to you, is that I want to help you be as good at your job as what I was. And I want to help you, if you want to be a leader in this company, to be able to grow and elevate too. I want to bring you with me. So if that's your goal, let me help you, and let's start working together. And, just be vulnerable with people and let them know you've made mistakes along the way. And now it's a fresh slate. Now you can start having conversations with people and understanding what is it that they want. Some people don't want to be the leader. They just want to be heard.
Right.
They want to feel like they have input. They want to feel like they're, like they're important.
That they're
And so
understood.
and that they're understood. So instead of coming in and ruling with an iron fist and being like, because I'm the leader, because I'm telling you what, just because you have the leadership on your business card and on your title, that does not mean that people follow you. In fact, I've seen many organizations where the person that's the leader is not the person with the title. And if you piss that person off, your organization is doomed, because you have the leader being negative and cancer within your whole entire organization. And that's very hard and time consuming to cut out, because you basically have to delete your whole entire organization and rebuild, and hope that you rebuild it right this time.
Right. Exactly. And and so often that's what happened. And the thing is that you can see instances of it through history, throughout history, of people that have followed the wrong leader, or they have become a leader themselves, and they've climbed up the corporate ladder, and now they realize they're totally in the wrong business. They've totally put their ladder against the wrong building.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And,
Well,
and
going back to the building that you built your ladder against, you know, and it's like realizing you're in the wrong place.
totally in the wrong place. Uh, and then one of the things that a friend of mine and I, we talked about it the other day, is that so many of the companies are right now, they laid off so much of their top leadership, in order to
Yeah,
cut the fat kind of thing, to get rid of these high up executives, to trim down their expenses. And now they've got a whole generation of leaders coming up that don't know how to lead.
yep, yeah.
And I think we've talked about that, but it's always bears repeating.
Well, and then going back and coming back full circle, that is really where I'm excited with our Entrepreneurs Justice League that we're
Yes.
forming here, because there's such a lack of of programs and people that are developing today's leaders, or developing the leaders that are going to lead organizations. And if they're cutting leadership, and so your people that are veterans and the people that are experienced are leaving, then there's nobody for them to learn from. And then that could be supplemental, and you bring in a group like us that can take you from top to bottom, whether it's in sales, whether it's in finance, whether it's in leadership, branding, digital marketing, personality, and understanding how to communicate with your people,
How to build a team that works.
how to build a team that works. How can you supplement it? You can bring in a team like us that's still cheaper than what it costs for your whole, to have a yearly leadership person in place. This is the other thing, though, is most of the time those leadership people that were cut, they weren't trained right and properly. Even though they have the experience, it doesn't mean that they were good at being the leader. It doesn't mean that they were great at their jobs. So there's lots of ways out there now to be able to bring in and develop your leaders and develop your people in your company the right way without having to hire a yearly person. And that's being supplemental. And that's why I'm super excited about the program that we're pulling together and offering.
Right, because one of the things that Regina and I have talked about many times is that people are people,
Yeah.
and people all over the world are the same. The thing is that people have families, and people have businesses and corporate jobs and all the things. And the things that happen in their business, they bring home to their family. And the things that happen in their family, they take to their business or their corporate job or whatever. And I think as more and more companies are realizing that it is social responsibility. A friend of mine, in fact, my friend Catherine and I, we were just talking about it, of social responsibility. It's not just about doing your job. It's not just about having employees in your business. It's about having happy employees and contented employees. And because then when you have contented, happy employees, they will bring to you happy, contented customers.
Yeah. Yeah. Glenn that I was talking to yesterday, the gentleman that I was telling you that found his resource and thought of me, he's in leadership, and he was talking about he quickly promoted in the current job that he's in now. And one of the things that they had a problem with when he started was a lot of retention, and they weren't connecting well with the younger people that were working in the company. The leader, they were afraid to go to the leader. They were afraid to ask that person questions because they didn't communicate well. And so Glenn went in and started asking people what they saw. What do you see? What do you think could be done better? And people started making suggestions to him. And then when they had good ideas, he implemented those ideas and gave them all the credit. Now, how do you feel when you're working in an organization and you know that you were the mastermind behind this new idea that's in the company? You could be at the lowest rung, but because you gave that feedback, you could be the janitor in the company, but you gave this feedback and it changed an element in the business. And every day you pass by that and take pride in that.
Right. Exactly. And as more and more of us talk about it more and more repeatedly, because it's not just a one-time subject. It's not just a one-time subject.
Yeah.
It's an all-encompassing to change the culture of business. And not only, but it could be, see, the thing is that when we change the culture of business, we change the culture of family, because they're intertwined.
Oh, it's so intertwined. In fact, you spend more time with your work people.
Right.
Maybe 2020's adjusted things with people working from home and stuff like that, and being with your family more. But in typical times, you spend more time with your work family than you do your actual family.
Right. And isn't that a sad state of affairs? Wouldn't it be nice if we could get to the point where we could have enough productivity that we could have both.
Yeah.
Right now we are so in and or.
True. Yeah.
Either or, not an either. It's always either or. You have to either spend time with your business, or you spend time with your family, and it's like you can't do both. But there has to be a way that for us to have it all.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, maybe I'm spoiled owning my own business. I think being an entrepreneur, you get to create your own rules, and my wife works in my business and she has her own business too, and so we're together almost all day, every day, unless I'm in my office. I'll come in my office for meetings and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, but half the day at least I'm working from home and I'm around her. So and again, we've talked about this before, but designing your life to create that happiness and having in your life what you want. And so I got to do that. But again, with 2020, I see a lot more people spending more time with their family, and then you see people like the corporations, DTE and Comcast here, or Consumers Energy here locally in Michigan, got rid of their corporate buildings and told their people they're going to work from home indefinitely. So those are big moves. What I wouldn't trade to not work in a cubicle.
Exactly.
I was not designed to work in a cubicle.
To tell you, one time, like, I've been in the restaurant business for a lot of years. I've been a hairdresser, so I've always worked with people and just had the freedom to just kind of move around. And well, one time, many years ago, a friend of mine called me up and she said, "Barb, I am desperate. Could you come? I have some," and it was, so I'm going to date myself, long before the computer age where you had to do all data entry by hand.
Yeah. Okay.
And she said, "I have got this huge project that I need help with. Oh. And there's nobody, and please, it's only going to take 2 weeks." And I said, "Okay, sure."
The longest 2 weeks of your life.
Why not? Oh, brother Jason, the first day I walked in, I said, "Oh, this is a small office." The second day was, "This is a really small office." By the fourth day, "This is a really
solitary confinement
office." By the second week, I was counting down the hours.
Oh my God. And how slow does that time move when you're counting it?
So slow.
So painfully slow.
And it was like, but you know what? The thing is, though, I'm a firm believer that you learn lessons from anything that happens.
I learned a lesson. I never want to do that again.
I learned a lesson that I would never, ever work in an office.
Yeah. I live outside of Metro Detroit, and so whenever you go towards Detroit, all you see is the big high rises, and it's just 100 floors of kiosks or of cubicles. And it's like, oh my God, shoot me now. I could not show up to work and do that every single day. Go up to the elevator on the 100th floor and work in my cubicle.
But can you imagine feeling that you had no choice?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I love. Okay, so working with Glenn yesterday, it's like there's a lot of things, and he's like, he hit the nail on the head. He's like, I came to you to help me reframe things. He felt like he didn't have a choice in where he worked. He felt like the thing that he wanted forever, he wanted to be in technology and IT, even though he's really this personable, awesome guy. He's always wanted to be in IT, but he didn't think that was a job. He thought it was just a hobby. And so he's held himself back and thought, now I'm 32 years old. There's no way I could get in IT. My experience is a limitation. And what I helped him realize yesterday was that his experiences are extreme strengths, because 99% of IT people do not have personalities, in the sense that they're extroverted, that they care about people. And he was talking about the IT guy that he works with that calls people end users. And he's like, they're not people, they're end users. And I'm like, Well, the cool thing is, and like I helped him, like, what do you have that nobody else has in the IT industry? And he's like, I don't know what. I'm like, you're the end user. You've been the end user. You've been in management leadership in small businesses, small to medium-sized businesses your whole career, and you've seen what happens when IT goes down. You see what happens when you have the bad experience with the IT company that tells you to just simply unplug it and plug it back in, or you know that they're bothered when you called them. When you have those experiences, you can translate, you can literally be the difference.
Right.
Everybody has a choice. We're not stuck where we're at. There's so many opportunities.
Don't you? And so often, I mean, we talk about stuck, and I've been there. I mean, all of us have been there.
Yeah.
But stuck can be a state of mind.
Yeah. It is a state of mind. Absolutely.
It's a state of mind. And all it needs is one little glimmer to get you unstuck.
The best example is my little dog. I have a little, she's maybe 8 pounds. She's 12 years old, and she will go out on her lead, and she comes around and she gets stuck on a little blade of grass.
Mm-hmm.
However, she doesn't even try to move away from it because she just feels like I'm stuck. And this is like the best visual ever. She comes around and she literally, like, she'll give a little pull and then she'll stare at me and she'll want me to come out, whether it's raining, snowing, no matter what the weather is going on outside. She wants me to come out and give her a little pull. And all she had to do is take a step forward. All she had to do is take a step forward, and it would have pulled away from the blade of grass, because all that's holding her back is a little blade of grass, like a little high tuft of dirt that is, no resistance whatsoever. Even my 8-pound dog could walk through it with no problem. But that little bit of resistance tells her in her mind she's stuck.
One of the things that I've just came into my brain is, when you've done those experiments with the gold, with the fish in the gold in a that they've put a divider in, and
Yeah.
so short, and that fish will not, once they know that they keep butting into it,
It programs.
they get programmed, and
Yep.
they never swim, even when you take out the divider. It's like they did a study with elephants that when they are chained, they get to the point where they don't have to chain them.
Yes. I was thinking of that. I was trying to think of that example before you even brought up the other one. I've heard of that one with the elephant, where they train them as babies with a little rope.
Right.
And then they just basically tie the rope to their ankle. It's not even tied to anything. And they won't move because they've been trained they can't move. They think they're stuck. It's all in their mind.
Right. Right. And how often have we been stuck in our minds? And
almost all the time. 99% of the time that you're stuck is all in your mind.
Right. And one of the things for me too is that, like, one of the statistics that I tell people is that 95% of our thoughts are negative.
Yeah.
80% of them are repetitive. So
Yeah.
you're thinking the same things every day, whether they're good or whether they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're thinking, you tend to think the same thoughts, whether they're positive or not. And you can either think to yourself, oh, this is the hardest day ever. Or you can say, hey, you know what, right now I might be going through a little bit of a patch, but you know what? Tomorrow's another day and I can do it.
All in the reframing. I tell my clients all the time that are nervous to speak in front of crowds.
Oh, yeah.
There's a thin line between anxiety and excitement.
Oh, exactly.
They're the same symptoms.
Right.
It's all in your mind of what you're going through. Are you anxiety? Do you have nervousness? Are you scared shitless? Or are you so excited that your stomach's queasy? You're so pumped up to be in front of this crowd and to speak to these people and to impact them that you're going through these emotions and feelings. Now, if I'm like, I'm nervous, I've got so much anxiety, like, you can just hear the tone in my body, versus I'm so excited, I get to speak in front of this crowd. This is going to be amazing. The impact we're going to have today. I'm ready. Like, that same thought, that same feeling, I can shift into 2 different things.
Right. Exactly. And so often people say, do you still get nervous? Well, yeah, absolutely. But now I channel it into being excited.
Yes.
Like today, we started out trying to be, and part of my personality code is that I don't like to be late.
Yeah.
And so today, when it came to be 3:00 and it wouldn't go, I'm like, it was just I was like, oh,
We
this was
said no more StreamYard. We're going with Zoom
more,
from here on out.
StreamYard.
StreamYard every time we have an issue.
Yeah. And so now it's just, and I mean, it has been, for me, it's just not the right one for me. And it might be the right one for you, but it's not the right one for me.
If StreamYard is the right one for you, drop in the box and let us know, and maybe let us know what we're doing wrong. I don't know.
Right. And, and because, as you said, Pat used to always do this tech stuff. So obviously I am missing something in the setup.
Yeah.
But last week it went on perfectly.
Perfectly. Yeah. Yep.
Today, not so much.
Today I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. And
yeah. It was like,
you kept on saying, "Can you hear me?" I'm like, "Yes, I can. I can hear you. You just can't hear me."
I couldn't hear you. And it was just, just craziness. And so then one of the other things, and then we're going to let everybody go. Then my other thing was but I have to admit, over on StreamYard, I did have this wonderful virtual background that I really
Yeah, it looked very nice, very luxurious.
Very nice. Came over to Zoom and of course didn't have it. So, but now I'll try to get it back, and but the thing is that so many people are now working from home, and they say, well, what can I, how can I work from home? I don't have, I'm in a home office, or I'm in my bedroom, or, whatever it is that they're doing. But you know what? I have seen some hysterical pictures of what people are doing to do their business at home. And virtual backgrounds is one of the ways that they're doing it. So find a virtual background that you like. Like, I like this one.
Yeah, I like that. It's a very good color.
It kind of sort of matches my lipstick and my color, my glasses coordinate. And I just realized I still have my glasses on.
I was wondering if you knew, but they look good. I love your personality and your glasses.
I have to tell you, one day, I'm going to tell on myself. One day, a friend of mine and we were this is pre-COVID. And one day we were going to go to the show, and the theater has all glass to reflect. So we were both coming and meeting, and we both got to and we just, you automatically look into the mirror part of the door. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we both started to roar because I had on my sunglasses, I had on my distance glasses, and I had on my reading glasses. And she had on her sunglasses and her reading glasses.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious.
We laughed so hard. It was just because, you automatically, like, I automatically do this.
Yeah.
And there was me. So I had on, but then it got sunny. So then I had on my sunglasses also. And we laughed so hard.
Hilarious.
It was, yeah. And so these are the funny things that you have to laugh about when you're doing business.
Absolutely.
Because like this right now, I'm so used to having them on that I forgot to take them off. No. So
they look good.
I just really encourage you that if you have something that happens, just go, oh, well.
Oh, well. You can't change it.
You can't change it.
You'll waste more time thinking about and trying to change it, and that can't happen. So you might as well just move forward. Right. That's what we did.
Yeah, right. And the last thing that I'm going to say is that though, but if you do make a legitimate mistake and you really did blow it, then really own up to it, fess up.
Yeah. Yep.
Take the heat, because there is some heat that comes when you totally blow it in front of your audience, or in front of your boss, or in front of whatever.
Yep.
Fess up, take the heat, but then go on, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Just like when I was talking about the engineer guy in the leadership, like, go into your team meeting, because his concern was like, okay, great. I gave him some advice, but he was like, what can I do now? I've already created this hole. I've already been a jerk. I've already done these things. Go in and admit it. Be vulnerable. I made a mistake. I'm new in leadership. You know what? We gotta refresh the slate.
Right. Let's start a new slate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we can do it. Jason, this is such a fun conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like, we skip around in our, but there's like so many gems in here for people listening. So
Right. And so, and let us know that you were here. Put hashtag replay in the where to do it, because we're not supposed to, on the book to face, we're not supposed to say leave what's in the wares. But you know what? So let us know that you were here. And better yet, put what you think was one of your gems.
yeah, absolutely.
What was a gem for you?
Amazing.
Because the gem for you might be somebody else's life-changing aha.
Yep. True story.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be their life-changing aha moment. So anyways, this is Barbara Ellison, your personality pro, because personality does drive reality. And Jason, any last words?
I'm Jason Tracey, and I'm off to coach some 7th grade basketball players.
Fun things in life.
Fun things in life, absolutely. It's our last one, so last one for the spring.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
This has been a blast. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week.
Have a good one. Okay. Yeah. Bye-bye.